This is ContactTalkRadio.com. Consciousness in action. And you are taking action into your consciousness by tuning into Contact Talk Radio.
And on TuneIn.com, Hing.fm, and UpSnap Mobile.
Contact Talk Radio.
Welcome to Transformation with Tara Sutphen. Tara Sutphen is the author of Blame It on Your Past Lives and Soul Agreements. 3 audio CD series, metaphysical meditations, sourcing series, and sleep programming. Tara has also collaborated with Emmy Award-winning Shane Stanley and Marla Maples on numerous DVDs. Tara Sutphen is a master in the psychic sciences. If you'd like to find out more about Tara's work, upcoming seminars, and meditations to help you fulfill your dreams, visit her website at tarasutphen.com.
Welcome to Transformations with Tara. This is Tara Sutphen, and my guest today is Tiffany Silver. She is an author and a life enhancement coach. Her purpose is to equip the reader with tools that will transform and empower his or her life. And she has lived a life of a healer. She's hit rock bottom and come up, just rising up to meet life. And she loves to heal others and, help them reach their fullest potential. She has written this book. It is called Silver to Gold, The Alchemy of the Feminine Heart. And welcome, Tiffany.
Hi. Hi, Tara.
Hey.
Thank you for having me. Hey.
Yeah, so Tiffany and I have known each other for a long time, 14, 15 years. And I have to brag about Tiffany for a minute. Tiffany is somebody who is what I call a sprite. She's a true sprite. She flits from flower to flower, and this is what she does with people. She meets really incredible people and healers of the world. And, this is not celebrities. This is the actual, walking holy on earth. And so she will meet these people, and then she studies. She's always 10 steps ahead of everybody else. So I'm really excited that she has written this book. The book is really fun to read. It is, it's great. Tiffany.
Thanks.
You're reading, it just goes a mile, 10 miles an hour, really. From 1 to 10, you're at 10, I was riveted. And she's really, I've known her a long time when she's been a baby, and now she's just such a great facilitator. I had a session with her last Sunday, and I have to say it was about a 2 or 3 hour session, and she does all these exercises with you as she grounds you and touches you. And it was it's really life-changing. Thank you, Tiffany. It just really is. You come into epiphanies about yourself. And I loved it. And we were up in Malibu, in this beautiful setting. And it was beautiful, really.
Aww. Oh my gosh. I'm so honored. I've been your biggest fan for 14, 15 years. I studied with Tara about 14 years ago, past life regression hypnotherapy, and she certified me, and I just continued my studies, and as things evolved, I scribed a book, and it was really the passages, and the book is a compilation of all the work that I've done with all my clients over the last 15 years. So I felt like after working with so many people around the world and teaching and just being my own seeker, I found that there were pivotal tools and steps that one could take that could really shift one's life instantaneously. And so I wanted to share these tips with people so that they would have a blueprint or a map to follow. So the book is comprised of tools, and my 2 favorite chapters are the ones on relationship, and I think it's called victimhood and blame game. because I feel like at this day and age, we really have to step out of being a victim perpetrator and into an empowered creator. So I really emphasize just really coming into that self-sovereignty and owning your feelings, and I help people tap into that emotional mastery, which is what Tara and I did the other day when she allowed me to facilitate a session with her, an integration, I call it, body, mind, spirit. So I'm just so honored and happy to be here with you today, Tara. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no, I'm so happy too. So now I love how you set the self free. I mean, that integration session that she does, I'm very intellectual. I want to intellectualize all of my feelings. I want to be like consciously aware that I'm doing the right step at the right time at all times. And I've been in my head many, if not all my life. Cause I'm a Sag and I have a stellium in Sagittarius, sits in Aquarius, so everything's intellectualizing, if this is the right step or the wrong step, or, how you go about, being, consciously aware and awakened upon the planet. So she just really got after me that, no, I want you to feel it. It's about emotions. It's not about your intellect.
It is. Yeah.
Really
don't let the intellect direct.
That's right. And I have to say that, and okay, talk about that. Don't let the intellect direct. Talk about that.
Well, I mean, this is what I found for myself. I relate to you. I too am very heady person. I've spent my whole life analyzing and breaking things down, and that's why I've become such a connoisseur of this work, because I've wanted to understand the ins and outs, every little facet of how to be the best version of myself, the authentic me, the feeling me, the present me, the empowered me. So I've spent so many years dissecting my energy, my emotions, my brain, my thought patterns. I've studied with gurus around the planet because I really wanted to see what is the theme, what is going to set someone free. And what I found is if you can tap people into their emotions, truly into their emotions, not the intellectualization of their emotions, because many of us intellectualize our emotions. We think our feelings. We don't feel our feelings. And so I found with a lot of my clients, even my master teacher clients, like you yourself, it's really easy to get wrapped up in the story as opposed to just go straight to, okay, how did this situation make me feel? And what would I like to experience now? Because if you can give yourself permission to feel it, just like anything, it's like food. You digest it, you assimilate it, and you masticate, you assimilate, and you eliminate. So we want to do the same thing with our emotions. Then we're like children. We set ourselves free because we're always in the catch and release of our life. But the reason that we get so oppressed or we don't feel well is because we start to feel things and then it gets trapped in our bodies and we're not moving the energy. Children are really beautiful examples of moving the energy through because they have an emotion, they let it come to the surface, it rises, they express it, they eliminate it, and they move on to playing. And so as adults, we want to be in that inspiration of acting in the moment and feeling our feelings, but we have so much judgment on not feeling good or not being angry or not being jealous, and we don't give ourselves permission to be fully alive in whatever we're feeling. We prejudge it, then we say, well, maybe later I'll feel it when I have time, when I'm not working.
Well, I think that what happens, especially people that we're around, is that people are really conscious of not overreacting. You can respond,
sure,
but don't overreact because, you're to be holy, you're to be a more of an awake human. So where is that fine line of not being reactionary?
Well, I actually wrote about it in my book, which is Respond, Don't React. But the trick here is that you have to be authentic because see, we're we're refining the layers of who we are. So we make one step forward and maybe 3 steps back, and 5 steps forward and 1 step back. And so life's progression is always our regression. We're always in this expansion, contraction state. So sometimes we're in a more expansive state, and sometimes we need to contract in to get the good, juicy ways in which to motivate us to do the next steps forward, the next inspiration forward. So I don't know if we could say, like, I wrote it in my book, let's respond and not react, but I know in moments where I'm very highly triggered or charged, I might have an overreaction, because in that moment, I might step, out of my body. I might be in my head. I might be taking things personally. Now, when you're centered, you've meditated, you are feeling your feelings, you feel enlivened, you're in the prosperity, you're in the joy consciousness, you're in the abundance consciousness, you can respond. Easy. So it's a practice, because I think that people want to be perfect. It's like yoga. Yoga is a practice, not a perfect. So we want to be in the practice of our lives where we're observing our responses, and then we're saying, okay, I like this, I don't like this. What would I like to do next? And shifting the focus on how would it feel now to feel better about this? And how can I come into a place of not taking it personal, or feeling my feelings so much so that I'm accountable for my thinking thoughts and my emotions. I don't think we can stop people from reacting or responding. It's a natural occurrence. I just think that we have to be present to what is showing up when it shows up, and be loving and be accepting.
Right. So how would you tell somebody, like, if they're feeling really anxious, what exercise, or what would you start to work with them on?
So I would get people connected to their breath. I think the breath is a great gateway to just calm the nervous system and get you present to your body, because sometimes we're spinning out. So like we did the other day, we did some breath work, we did some sound, sometimes moving the energy through sound. So I would get them into their breath. And then I would connect them to, just like in hypnotherapy, what you do is you do the relaxation of the body. So I would get the person connected to their body, maybe feeling, their feet on the ground, feeling their roots. Maybe I would have them imagine a tree, like they were a tree trunk and the roots were going all the way into the earth, just to feel grounded. I would have them really come into the presence of that they're in this body, and move through their breath. And then I would have them, there are tools that are in my book on chapter 4, really, really simple steps where you can massage your own head. You can massage your feet. You can massage your chest, through the clavicles and through the, breastbone. When you start engaging the body like that, the nervous system calms down and you start to, come into what's real. Because we're so often living the distortions of the body, mind, flesh. And so that's where we go into that overreactive state. When we're in a soul active state, we become responsive. And no matter what happens, we can be loving. So these are all tools: massage, breath, grounding, to get you very present to your body and your being. And then you can take action. And I also suggest too, if in the moment that you're feeling reactive, take a beat and tell the person or whatever you're doing, hey, I need a moment, and step away. It's like smokers automatically have that self-nurturing, in the sense of if they're uncomfortable, they're like, excuse me, I'm going to go have a smoke break. And it's really socially acceptable. But when you're in the midst of feeling anxiety and it's coming up and you're in a conversation and you don't smoke, you're not like, hey, I just need to leave. So, like the smoker, they gently excuse themselves. So I feel like in this day and age, we can gently excuse ourselves and maybe say, you know what, I'm going to just take a moment. Maybe go to the restroom and just take a moment for yourself.
So it's a disengage for just a few moments and then come back to whatever
if you're
dealing with.
If you're in an overreactive state, because typically when we're in an overreactive state, we're coming from needing that other person to validate our feelings, and we're trying to make that other person feel better. And the thing is, the only person that you can be responsible for is yourself. You can't make someone feel. You can elicit a response in someone. You can actively be the catalyst for an emotional charge in them. But most of the time, if you look really deeply, there's a source of origin It has nothing to do with you. It predates you. It's just you're showing up for the assignment, the emotional interaction, the emotional purification.
Right. It's true,
So, Yeah. I mean, come on. I mean, we're interacting with people all the time. How often when you're in this loving state, you look around and it feels like everything and everyone's loving. And then when you're in an irritable state, it seems like everything can be irritating to you. And then you'll even encounter people who are acting irritable toward you. So we're really these vibrational beings, and we're emitting a frequency, and our words, I mean, they're significant and they have power, but what's even more powerful is the energy we're giving off. So, if you're in a balanced state, you're going to be emitting this frequency, and you're automatically going to be a magnet for the things that you're focused on.
Well, it's funny about that. I just spent a lot of time in West Hollywood because the kids took a vacation, my kids, and so I dog sat for them and house sat. And it's so funny because I met all the neighbors because of the dogs. And it was so much fun. And I got invited to people's houses, and it was just this whole thing of, I met so many angels, and it's just the oddest thing when you're in a good space. And I wasn't necessarily friendly. I was just saying, hi, how you doing? And, but everybody, I don't know if it's just my energy, but because I have that openness of, willing to treat people like they are divine beings. And it was just incredible, the beauty of watching everybody come alive. And of course they have it's Hollywood, so, has an element of unstable people as well. But the people who were walking around, and these are people, a lot of them didn't have dogs. So I was just attracting a lot of people. And I just thought, what a beautiful, I was telling the kids all about their neighbors and stuff because I met them.
And I bet you they were like, we've never met our neighbors. Well, Tara, the funny thing is you call me a sprite, but you are my direct reflection, and you've always been sprinkling your fairy dust and magic dust everywhere you go. I mean, your presence is very magnetic, and people want to be around you. They want to learn with you. They want to grow with you. And you have that very moving, grounded, beautiful, effervescent energy. So it's exciting to be around someone like you. I've always felt it an honor and privilege, and I can imagine that anybody that met you along the path, that you changed their life within seconds, just even saying hello.
Thank you. Well, see, it's that mirror image.
Right.
It's just the mirror of what you're saying.
And didn't we also, Tara and I got the beautiful privilege of hugging a live saint from India last week, so that was pretty cool. So talk about, the incarnation of divine love and mother. So that was
right.
And
we hugged her many, many years ago, 11 or 12 years ago.
Yeah, together.
As well, together. Cause you took me to her the first time.
Alma. Her name is Alma.
Alma
Chi.
Yeah. And so, she's the, divine hugging saint.
Yeah. She travels.
And she doesn't get up. Now, I have to tell everybody this because people just don't realize, she just hugs. No, what she does, there's 5,000 people there.
Yeah.
And she doesn't get up. She can be in one spot for more than 20 hours and never get up. So
you want to hear something? You want to hear something interesting?
Yes.
I've gone to see her for 14 years. I've never seen her move, and I've watched her sit for 20 hours. This year, she got up for the first time in 14 years. I was so happy to see that she took a break, because most people can't sit for 20 hours hugging people and giving this divine, benediction and awakening.
I am so happy she got it. Because she doesn't. 20 hours somebody sits. And then she doesn't just hug you. There's no presence within her. No, I was probably number 2,000.
Yeah.
And she actually, I mean, she takes 30 seconds, a minute, and just hugs you and talks to you and is present with you.
Yeah.
I mean,
so
it
beautiful.
is incredible.
Yeah. Oh, that's what I love about you.
Present in life.
And you asked me about people, how to not react, but when you're in this receiving state and you're in this expanded state, you are in the natural responsive state. Because that is when you are really tapped into the authentic you. It is when we feel out of alignment, like I talked about before, the body, mind, flesh distortions. Those are distortions of the mind. Some people call it the ego, but what it is there's stories that are made up. And the thing is, and what I realized after doing this work for so many years, it's all made up. It's all made up. Like, we give everything its value and meaning. It's just a story that's made up. And either you direct it in a way that supports you, or you direct it in a way that can, destroy you. And so I think, we have a choice in life and how we want to perceive things. And the most important thing at the end, even if there's a riff or something, gets really, fired up, is to be loving. And if people don't choose to be loving back, that's not your responsibility. You just be yourself. And if yourself is to be in that loving, giving, appreciating state, then you will get that in kind. You might not get it in kind from the person you want it from, but you will get it from the universe, because the universe isn't saying, well, we have preferential preference. They're saying, hey, we want to give you what's in alignment and resonant with what you're vibrating out. So I think the issue with what most people contend with today is that we give something and we say, well, I want to receive that from you. And what needs to happen is for us to be able to give more generously and say, okay, I'm going to give this thing freely. And the gift is in the giving. And then I know that the universe is going to give me this and more, and it may not be through this person. It could be through someone else. And that way, we're in the detachment. We're in the detachment of the giving, so that we can feel better about, if we don't receive what we gave to somebody, we're not holding on to the lack consciousness, and we stay in generating that flow, and we go, okay. I wrote an article for Huffington Post about 2 years ago, and the whole premise was how you pray when you want something. And especially if you want a specific thing or something from someone. And so you say this, something better or later, and you surrender it, because in that way, it's like, then the universe can come in and get really creative. You know what you want, but if it's not the right thing for you, then something better is going to come. And if it doesn't come later, it'll come later, but it's on its way. It's being prepared. Like you put your order in at the restaurant and it's getting prepared while you're having your appetizer.
True. I think that's the misconception of people. People get so wrapped up that the people that they give to, that they're going to get back from that person or that instance or that event. That's not necessarily what happens.
Yeah.
And you have to break cycles. I always think that people, they have expectations. So give and give and give to the same person, get the same reaction.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, I think you might need to look at this intellectually and maybe feel your feelings is maybe the next step, right? And, then go into, you gotta break that. Now, how would you break pattern or a cycle? What would you think that?
The pattern of expecting.
Yeah, expectations. Yeah, that cycle of just being in a programmed cycle, and you can't get yourself out of it.
I mean, this definitely takes commitment and your willingness to tap into your emotions, because every story has an emotion. That was the work we did, right? So every time you tell me a story, I'd say, but how did it make you feel? And at first people go into then giving me a story about their feelings. And I'm like, but wait, what's the feeling of that? So if you can really distill it down to these things that we're encountering with others, we can break it down to some simple emotions, right? Most people feel either disappointment, anger, resentment, sadness, or they get aloof. What's another one? Revengeful, resentful. I mean, these are pretty common.
Right.
And the thing
resentful is a problem.
Yeah,
Resentful
and
is a real problem. That's when you have to really work hard.
Yeah, and the thing is that we all, one thing I've noticed, I've worked with people around the world, and I've worked with people who have been massively, let's say, we'll say handy-abled, not disabled, but handy-abled. And they took their ability and turned it into something marvelous. But I've worked with people who, of all ages and generations, we all have the same emotions. I don't care how you break it down. We are all inside. We feel the same. We all feel. No one does not feel. So the thing with these emotions is if it takes hold, you are the one who's trapped because it exists within you. The other people move on. So if you have anger, they don't own it. You have it. And it takes a piece of your spirit and it occupies space. It's like everything that you put in your home. You want the things that are going to enhance you and it's going to generate something. So your emotions are the same thing. Will it enhance and generate something for you to make those steps and passages forward? Now, I think anger is a perfect emotion. The thing is, we want to go, yay, love, and no to anger and no to all these denser emotions. But what I've come to understand is emotions are energy in motion. And that just means that you have to let it move through. There is no problem with anger. It's how are we expressing the anger?
Let's come back to that.
Okay.
I want to take a commercial break, but I want you to be able to find Tiffany. It's TiffanySilverLove.com, correct?
Yep.
Yeah, TiffanySilverLove.com. And I'll spell that out after we come back from the break. But you were talking and listening to Transformations with Tara, and we will be right back.
Welcome to Transformation with Tara Sutphen. If you'd like to find out more about Tara's work, upcoming seminars, and meditations, visit her website at tarasutphen.com.
You've listened to the shows on CTR, and perhaps you've found yourself thinking, maybe I should host my own show, but I don't know how. It's easier than you think. From the beginning with private coaching sessions to your own live broadcasts, CTR Network will prepare you on every level to share your knowledge, expand your brand, and take your business to the next level. At CTR, we nurture your vision and make it a radio reality. Contact Cameron Steele at 425-221-3646 or Cameron at ctrnetwork.com and put your dream into motion today. If you want to stay on top of everything that's happening at Contact Talk Radio, there's no simpler way than following us on Twitter. You'll know what shows are currently playing, who the special guests are, what topics are being discussed. The information is always fresh. You can follow us on Twitter by going to twitter.com/CTR Network. It's easy. Again, that's twitter.com/CTR Network. Better living is just a tweet away.
Welcome to Transformation with Tara Sutphen. Become involved now by calling 877-230-3062.
Welcome back to Transformations with Tara. This is Tara Sutphen. And I'm talking to Tiffany Silver, and she's written a book called Silver to Gold. It's the alchemy of the feminine heart. And I've known Tiffany for a long time, and it's been really wonderful. I mean, I've always watched her be a sprite and going from flower to flower, which I feel is following the most holiest people upon the earth. And it's just really wonderful and always fun to watch. Her website is www.tiffanysilverlove.com, and it's TIFFANY Silver SILVER Love LOVE.com, just as it sounds, TiffanySilverLove.com. And she does private sessions. She does seminars, workshops. Welcome back, Tiffany.
Thank you. Hi.
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 So you were going to give an exercise or just talk about, like anger, that when we're angry, how do we handle it?
Okay. So there's a couple things. Number one, everything is our perceptions, and just like the ocean, right? The ocean, you can swim in it, you can enjoy it, you can, it could really create soothing energy in you. And at the same token, the polar opposite effect is there could be a tidal wave. So all things have two sides, right? Water can nourish you, you could drink it, or it could destroy you. So the thing with emotions is that there's not a bad emotion. There's just an emotion. There's just energy. And we have to be we have to be real with what we feel. So if there's an emotion of anger generated, that's real. But we have to track the source of origin. And tracking the source of origin, so I'm going to give you 2 exercises. So this is like the accelerated version of things that you can do to work with yourself. Number 1, you can sit quietly, take some breaths, do the grounding. And then when you're having an emotional uprise, that's what I like to call anxiety, is an emotional uprise.
Mm-hmm. Love it.
Because that's all that it is. It's just,
an uprise.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of things that can start to calm us down. But,
yeah.
and authentically, we can talk to a friend, we can get a hug, we can do breathing, we can do yoga, we can take a walk. Changing our physiology also changes our state. So that's one thing you can do. Change your position. If you don't feel well, get up, take a walk, go outside, move your energy, eat something, do something, hug somebody, call someone, but take an affirmative action. So that's one thing. But secondly, when you're having emotions, you have to track where does it originate from. Most of the time we say, well, I'm angry at that person. But the truth of the matter is, if you were to really distill it back, we're never really angry at anyone else. We're really just angry that we can't control other people's actions and behaviors. And then we're angry that we don't control our own actions and behaviors. And then we get into these contentious places, right? I mean, wouldn't you agree?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
So once you realize, okay, I'm not really angry at that person. I'm angry at the fact that I can't control what they're saying or doing, and that you may have had a hand in that creation. Now, this gets into a tricky place because I believe that we're creators, and I believe that what you focus on expands. So if you're focusing on what you don't want, I don't want this, I don't want this, I don't want this, you're literally just saying yes, because it's called law of inclusion. There is nothing outside of what we focus on. So if I say no, I'm saying yes. It's just focus. And the universe is so benevolent, they go, oh, I want to deliver you whatever you're focusing on. You're focusing on not getting what you don't want. Well, I'm going to give you exactly what you don't want. So that's powerful. And equally, you can use that in the opposite direction. Now, we've got an emotion like anger. I get angry all the time. It doesn't last very long because the more you're able to discharge it, then you can move the energy through. The trick is to not vomit it or off-gas it on others, but to go into an internal state where you start to take inventory and go into an inquiry. Now, the inquiry looks like this. You first go in and you go, okay, what am I angry about? And you look at what you're angry about. And you've got stories made up. And then you're like, okay, who am I angry at? Then you start to go, okay, but what could be the source of origin? And then, like you saw when we did some of that regression work, things come up from early childhood, where maybe somebody said something to you and you made a decision, I'm never going to let anybody do that to me again. But then the very thing that you didn't want has happened your whole life. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I do.
So, I'm looking at dolphins. Woo!
Yay. Beautiful.
Oh, wow. It's
a nice
beautiful.
moment.
Yeah. So we're talking about emotions and energy and motion, and I'm sitting in Malibu on the water and it's absolutely stunning here. And there's a dolphin in front of me. So, and that's the beauty. Like in a moment's notice, something beautiful can rise to the surface, right? Mm-hmm. So we don't get stuck in a state because the universe is new in every moment. So I like to track the source of origin. I like to go in and go, okay, if you can find where maybe this began, that's one step. The other thing is if you're not, very experienced with working with your emotions and you have a hard time identifying it and you're really in that state of blame, anger, then maybe you just want to look at one thing. You can close your eyes and you can take a deep breath and then you can ask yourself, and I'm very, very deliberate when I say this. We've just talked about don't talk about what you don't want. But in this case, the thing is people aren't wanting to feel their feelings. So we want to conjure the feelings that are denser. So I would ask myself, what is it I'm not wanting to see, feel, hear, or say? And I would look at those things and I would go in and I would scan the body and I would look and I'd be like, okay, I'm not wanting to see that I want everybody to be perfect, and I'm not wanting to see that I'm not always happy in my living situation. I'm not wanting to see that I feel angry and I'm mad at my mom or I'm mad at my dad or I blame them my whole life and I'm angry, and you can just give yourself permission to go down, like it's like taking a hike, but you're hiking through your emotions and you're journeying, and you take the journey to give yourself, the presence of you, the presence of that, authentic expression. What is it I'm not wanting to see, feel, hear, or say? And then once you identify that, right, and you're like, okay, I'm really pissed off or I'm really sad, what I like to do is I like to liberate it. So I like to do a couple things. If I feel like it's something that I just can't shake, well, we're not supposed to shake it. So that means the way we take our power back is by bringing everything into our heart center. And so if it's a thing that you don't want to look at, then we bring it into our heart center and we say, okay, you can be here with me. I'm going to give you a voice and I'm going to let you be here and I'm going to shower it with love or good energy and say, until I feel that I felt you through, I'm going to just stay with you in this place right now. That's one thing you can do. So you can breathe through it. You can shower with love. You can put it in your heart. You can wash it like, in a waterfall. Or,
I was thinking of a bucket.
or a bucket. Or
a waterfall would be much prettier visualization. Yeah, put your emotions into a bucket.
Yeah. You could, and then you could pour it into the ocean. I mean, there's so many ways of liberating ourselves.
River goes faster away.
And there you go, river. I mean, but the thing is, we live in the law of attraction, so you cannot get rid of things. You have to learn to embrace and accept what's showing up. You can allow things to transmute or transform. So like, if I'm in a denser emotion, I could be like, okay, I'm going to hand it over to the angels, or I'm going to hand it to Mother Earth, or I'm going to hand it to the water. But the truth is, you have to be in the presence of being okay with the fact that you have this emotion. Because in the judgment of the emotion, it doesn't go away. And then when it comes back again, you're judging yourself for being emotional. The trick is just to say, okay, I'm going to have these emotions. And when I do, as opposed to off-gassing it or vomiting it, let me sit quietly and work with what is generating the emotional uprise of emotions. What is generating this triggered response? And you'll start to discover stories, patterns, ideas that you have. People need to act this way in order to make me happy. Well, that's a really big one. That's a big one for most of us. Most of us expect people to go ahead.
Communicating clearly. You talk about that, like change your wording and change your life.
Yeah.
So when people are like going around and round and round with their emotions or their intellectual thoughts of how they should act and how they should be. I mean, okay, so they respond, but they don't overreact. So what should be their words that come out of their mouths the first thing? Say they're angry at someone.
Yeah, so we want to be mindful of the words that we use because our words have power. They're like a prayer, right? So if we can relanguage our words, even if it's as simple as saying, don't forget the milk when you go to the store, to can you remember the milk when you go to the store? It's a different affirmative, it's a different directive. And we want to, access words that can uplift and generate momentum to that more expanded state of focus and love, as opposed to negating and living in the world of, I shoulda, woulda, coulda, here's lack. So, there are words that generate better feeling thoughts and better feeling feelings.
Right. Yeah, I have a lot of my clients when they're breathing, I want them to breathe in peace and exhale the chaos.
Yeah.
Like, bottom line, as you're breathing, let's just go to a state of just breathe out the chaos. Like, you are a clear thinking human. There is no confusion. I mean, over and over and over, I tell people that because I believe it's true. If you get into the state of there is no confusion, then there is no confusion. You take everything as a shamanic sign and you live your truth, period.
Yeah. There's a teacher that I like to listen to. Her name is Esther Hicks.
I love her, yeah.
She goes by Abraham, and it's a collective consciousness. It's a higher consciousness that channels through her. And her, focus is everything's law of attraction, and what you focus on expands. And so she will just continue in 50,000 million ways to share with you how to direct your focus. But I started listening to her about 24 years ago. And there was one affirmation 24 years ago.
Popular. Wait a minute. She probably became popular maybe 17 years ago or 15 years ago. But see,
less.
Tiffany goes further in. She was there at the beginning. Patty Singer's another one who, Esther Hicks, she loved Esther Hicks.
Yeah.
Really went in, found her like way in the beginning. So it's cute.
So anyway, one affirmation that Abraham uses is all is well. And it's such a simple one. But, in the moment where sometimes we're talking about everything that's going wrong, if we could just redirect our energy, redirect our focus, and start affirming a new state. And then if you couple that with visualization, which is what Tara does with her clients, she gives you the most beautiful visualizations, especially in her CDs and meditations, then you start to create new neural pathways. Yesterday I went to Malibu and I went and took my dog for a walk, and my dog kept running up to this gentleman, and I was like, wow, okay. And then finally, I know when my dog won't come to me, I just need to sit my butt down. So I sat my butt down and I turned around to the guy and we started talking, and he shared with me that he was homeless and he was a veteran. I said, well, let me ask you, do you want to be homeless? Like, do you want a home? Because the truth is sometimes people are really making the choice to consciously be where they're at. And I don't want to assume that he even wanted a place. Maybe that's too much of a responsibility. So he's like, yeah, I do want a home. I said, well, what are your talents? And so he started sharing with me. I said, listen, I said, what I can give you is I could give you this. And I started telling him a little bit about how to generate visualizations and focus. And there's a great, affirmation that Jack Canfield often uses, when he's teaching his students, and it's, I'm so grateful that, or I'm so grateful for. So I'm so grateful for my new home. I'm so grateful for my community, for my work, for the food on my table. And so, just in generating that gratefulness or that gratitude or that state of appreciation, that can also shift the energy. So you can do the awareness techniques and taking inventory and delving into the emotions. And then you can also, go into, well, what am I grateful for? And that can start to shift the energy. It's really, making those strides to do anything to get yourself in a better feeling state.
Yeah, I love it. Well, and there is that's someone who's very lost. They've decided to be lost, and maybe you gave him a key to be found, to find himself, to start, because maybe he's on a government assistance. Maybe he can help himself go into a next stage of, if you really want a home, then you have to start small. Those are steps.
Yeah.
If you already don't have a home, then you're going to have to start. It's not going to start in Malibu, actually. But, he needs to maybe be realistic. That's why.
But you know what? But here's the great thing about, living in unlimited possibilities. We don't know where his path is best generated. So at least for someone like that, if he can get into focus of what he'd like to experience, he's more likely to generate something other than what he has in the moment. Right? But then I said to him, well, listen, when I was leaving, I said, I really like your office. Cause, he's overlooking the ocean with nature all around him. I was like, this is a pretty good place to be. I said, I'd enjoy this before you start working.
Yeah, right.
It's all perception. I mean, is the cup half full or is it half empty? And, you decide, you decide how you want to see things. But the one thing that I really emphasize and work with is you have to be real with what you feel. That is undeniable.
Yeah, setting yourself free. I like that. You said, how do you set yourself free?
Yeah, well, by being really authentic with what you feel. Sometimes things don't always feel good, and that's okay too.
I usually use that as a shamanic sign. If you're not feeling good about it, then you need to start thinking why and curing it before it becomes a problem.
Yep.
I see so many people, they'll, especially like in relationships, where they'll say things as they'll talk on the phone, oh, pookie wookie, beautiful, oh, and then the minute the phone hangs up, they're like, oh my God, they're needy and I just don't want to be with them anymore. So that type of thing. I said, what you're doing is, you're at dual purpose and you are creating whatever that's the illusion in your head, you're actually going to not end up with that person because you're going to destroy it. So, and you might not really feel that way. You might feel like, oh my God, I'm so attached to this person, but you're not living your truth somewhere.
Yeah.
So the bottom line is your fantasy is that they're a pain in the butt. So you're going to get rid of them when in actuality, they might be the best thing that you ever had. And, why are you creating a destruction? Because as humans, we're always, we're destroying things.
We're always in the creation and destruction.
Right. We should always create. If we just do, change our viewpoint and create instead of destruct, then we become whole human beings. Like you keep feeding the love that you have for others. You keep feeding the work ethic. You keep feeding the socialization of your lonely person that lives within you. It's this sort of thinking that will bring you into wholeness. It doesn't allow, because prosperity, I have a lot of people that say, oh, that person doesn't have enough money, or money. We live in Los Angeles. It's all money, in the world, money. Well, prosperity is not money. Prosperity is rich in all ways.
Yeah.
Always, that is love and wisdom and your health and well-being and all your relationships with all your family. You don't have to have the same interests, but you could have a same starting ground where you're just honoring somebody. Honor is an easy thing.
Yeah. I think, if you want the simplest tool I can give anyone out there listening, is how can you remain loving no matter what? And that means that you have to overcome the judgments and the expectations and choose, do I want to be loving or do I want to be right? Because sometimes we do want to be right and not loving. And that's okay too. But ultimately, in the end, you have to find that loving state, because the whole reason for that is because all you experience is yourself and you're only feeling you. So you want to feel better. And if you're in that state of separation, that doesn't feel very good. So it's much easier for me to move through my temper tantrum within myself and then come into how can I be loving? And even if I'm not receiving love in return, like if I say I love you, but I expect you to say you love me, that's not true love. True love is I love you, and that is it. And my gift is to love. That is the gift. And without the expectation that somebody says thank you or I love you back or they treat you good. See, we think if somebody treats us in a certain way, it's a reflection of us not being lovable. But what they're saying is I'm only treating you the way that I know how to treat myself. And I think relationships are assignments. So you wanted to touch on relationships. And I think that the issue goes much deeper than this person has the problem, because the problem really only exists within you and your thinking thoughts about what you think that person should or should not be doing. Once you get yourself into a balanced state, that everybody's in their perfect place, then you make those adjustments in yourself and you're like, okay, neediness. My best friend always says this. He always says, I'll call up and I'll be like, God, I'm so needy. He's like, really? He's like, awesome. He's like, what's the problem? He's like, so who isn't? And aren't we all? So
yeah, I know. I love
and
it.
aren't we all? I mean,
oh my God.
And the truth is if who isn't and aren't we all, the truth is yes. And there's that relatedness. When you can go into the relatedness with every other human being, I am needy, I am pushy, I am resentful, I am angry, I am all these things, and you don't deny it, and you say, I can be that sometimes, then it doesn't have power over you, and then we stop criticizing and we start just observing. People say to me all the time, hey, you're this, that, and the other thing. And now I just say, you know what? You're right. I can be.
Yeah. Well, I have to say her best friend, Jeff, he's so funny. I have to tell you, about 10 years ago, I had a dream about him, and he's done a lot of work for me over the years. He's an amazing contractor and shaman. And he said, I said, you know, I had the strangest dream about you, that you were on the side of a mesa in a 2-wheel drive car, and you were going up this dirt mountain and moving rocks as you went up, and because you were going to go camp out on the top of this mesa. And I said it was just so weird. And I said, so what's happening in your life? He goes, well, I'm on that road going up on top of the mesa and moving rocks as. It's so funny. Like, oh my God. Yeah. So, yeah.
Tara is very psychic, undoubtedly.
Oh my God. It was so funny. Like, oh my God. So I said, you're being careful, right? You know, I'm probably not.
I always, like, whenever you know what, cause I've traveled around the world and I've ridden motorcycles and mopeds and done a lot of dangerous things. One of my affirmations is, thank you, God, for my safe passage. Because oftentimes, as opposed to being in fear of what I don't want, if I feel something could be potentially dangerous, I do that. And then what happens is maybe I'll slip, but it won't be as bad as it could have been. So that's one way I deal with some of the fears that come up, when I'm afraid to do something that could potentially be dangerous.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and you know, it's dangerous to cross the street, you know, so we don't advocate any
just
of that.
Just
be mindful that you are living and that every day is a gift. And I think Tiffany and I are both on that the inner power is really wonderful, but the outer power of you to manifest safety and beauty and harmony and great love is all within you. And we're definitely here to facilitate that if any of you need it. I know that Tiffany takes private sessions, and she's fabulous, really fabulous.
Thank you.
And I would have you come to every city if I was. Oh my God, I don't know. Thankfully, you know, we're friends, and I can have your sessions anytime. Yeah. And she started out as a masseuse, and
actually, I started out as a Reiki master. Reiki master. Then I got into massage because I found that clients would hire me if I gave them a massage, and then I could do the energy work. That's actually how I started.
Wow, it's incredible. Well, we're on our countdown, so I want you all to be able to find Tiffany and find her book. It's TiffanySilverLove.com is her website, and her book is Silver to Gold, The Alchemy of the Feminine Heart. You can get it on Amazon, right?
Yeah, on Amazon. You can get it on my website, also a couple of different places. Yeah.
Perfect.
And you can also get it in Kindle version. So if you like to read on your iPad.
Easy read, love it, great suggestions, great reminders, just tapping you back in to your conscious, beautiful, awakening self. Thank you, Tiffany, for being on the show.
Oh, thank you. I love you. This was such a pleasure.
I love you too.
Oh, thank you so much, Tara. Have a beautiful day, and blessings to all the listeners. And create your reality and focus and use awesome affirmations and be loving.
Blessings and love, everyone.
Blessings.
Thank you for sharing your time with Tara Sutphen. Find out more about Tara's work, upcoming seminars, and meditations to help you fulfill your dreams by visiting her website at tarasutphen.com.